big band. There was a time in the 30s and 40s when you couldn't think of a decent dance band that didn't have 15 or 20 players at least. Then along came the combos that got along with 3 or 4, and the rock and roll groups that made up in amplifiers and wattage what they lacked in personnel, sometimes in ability. Through almost all this, Maynard Ferguson kept his big band going, and he keeps introducing new audiences to the sound of size.
At 56, Maynard Ferguson is an institution in jazz. But it's not just his enormous playing ability that makes him special. He also stands apart as one of but a handful who've been able artistically and financially to keep the concept of big band jazz alive, both in the recording studio and on the performing stage.
I'd like to tell you that I planned it that way, that because of my brilliant feel for the pulse of the public or whatever, but I think I just lucked out to a certain degree that we're the sort of band that the young kids associate with.
Just a few years ago, Ferguson scored a big hit with his theme from Rocky record. These days, his concert and nightclub commitments are booked 9 months in advance. Most of the touring is done by bus. For relaxation, band members listen to the latest tapes or loosen up with a little bus-a-side.
Breathing out. Breathing out. I can feel that his tricep out. He's ruining my suitcase. Notice that suitcase cost someone $40. We live on a bus, and it'll be nice when we'll get done playing and we'll hop on the bus.
Band member Dennis de Blasio.
Just the time on the bus, because it is geez, I hate to say a gypsy lifestyle, but only in terms of you're always traveling. You know, you're never, home to me is not the hotel room, it's that bus and my area and where everything is.
Costs are kept down by staying away from fancy eateries and hotels. Big bands are not, after all, a 4-star business, but they are indeed a business.
So if you're going to run a big band, you have to be aware of those things, and but at times it can bore me to tears. But if it bores you a little too much in this business, you'll be out of business. And
the golden age of big bands was the 1930s. In those days, hundreds of bands like Maynard Ferguson's crisscrossed America. In those days, big band jazz was America's most popular music.
Ferguson played in his first big band in the early 40s. 10 years later, he gained notoriety while playing with Stan Kenton. His high-pitched, screaming style excited fans and caused some critics to hold their ears.
I'm sure I noticed that people applaud high-note trumpet players, you know, and The two egomaniacs in any big band is the high note trumpet player and the drummer, right? You know, and as a result, I would be featured because I guess I have that kind of personality that really enjoys going down front and playing. I was not born shy, and I try for modesty, but shyness is impossible.
Ferguson keeps the energy level high around him by surrounding himself with exciting young players. His bands have always been training ground for talented instrumentalists. Trumpeter Bobby Freeman.
Maynard, if he was doing the same music he did 20, 30 years ago, which he's not, the draw to him might be a little different, but Maynard has always kept up and changed with the times, and even now we're doing, you know, a lot of jazz, but the overall impact of the band is very new, the sound is very what's happening today.
But the point is, if you have one superhero, that's fine, but don't make him too super. You don't want to be a plastic Maynard or a plastic Miles or anything else. You just want to end up being you. But it's okay to copy.
One way Ferguson keeps up with today is working with young people at high school and college clinics across the country.
Encouragement for your own creative thought process, so that this instrument won't sound like anybody else eventually. You know, because that's really what you're after. You know. Okay, so when I tend to dwell as a clinician, we've had them come from like hundreds of miles away. You know.